Level 1, Club, Independent, and Sprint Football. Level 1, Conference is where college football gets raw, real, and kinda scrappy in the best way possible. This is the bottom of the football pyramid, but not in a bad sense. Think of it like the garage band version of football. Loud, passionate, and built purely on love for the game. Nobody's getting rich here, and nobody's playing in front of 100,000 fans. These are the players who do it for the fun, not the fame. Let's start with club football. Imagine you and your friends love football so much that you literally start your own team. No scholarships, no big money, just sweat and teamwork. That's club football. Most of these teams are student-run under something called the National Club Football Association, NCFA. They've even got their own setup with conferences and championships, just like the big leagues. The main ones include the Great Lakes Conference, North Atlantic Conference, Mid-Atlantic Conference, South Atlantic Conference, and the New South Conference. Each of these conferences has schools that keep the spirit alive. Great Lakes Conference, teams like Oakland University, Ohio State Club, and Wright State. North Atlantic Conference, schools such as Sacred Heart Club Team, Vermont, and Clarkson University. Mid-Atlantic Conference includes George Mason, Longwood, and Maryland Club. South Atlantic Conference, you'll find teams like UNC Charlotte, Coastal Carolina, and South Carolina. New South Conference, newer programs like Middle Tennessee State Club and Florida Club Football. These players buy their own gear, make their own logos, and sometimes even have to remember to bring their own water. It's football powered by pure passion. Then there's independent football. These are real varsity teams, but they're not part of any official conference. They're the loners, the ones who say, "We'll do it our own way." Some big names here are Notre Dame, Army, UConn, and UMass. They're called independent because they make their own schedules instead of being tied to a conference. It's kind of like homeschooling, but for football. There's no conference championship, no assigned rivals, but a ton of freedom. Sometimes schools go independent for money reasons or because they want total control over who they play. It's risky, but for some teams, it works. And then sprint football. Now this one's wild. Same field, same rules, but everyone has to weigh under 178 pounds. Yeah, you heard that right. No giant 330-pound linemen here. It's all about speed, agility, and endurance. Sprint football is played in two main leagues, the Collegiate Sprint Football League, CSFL, and the Midwest Sprint Football League, MSFL. The CSFL, which has been around since 1934, includes legendary programs like Army, Navy, Cornell, Pennsylvania, St. Thomas Aquinas. The MSFL, on the other hand, is newer and helps expand the sport across the Midwest. It features Fontbonne University, Quincy University, St. Mary of the Woods College, Bellarmine University, Calumet College of St. Joseph. Level 2, NAIA Football. NAIA is also known as the Small School Fight Club. This is where college football gets gritty, honest, and full of heart. We're outside the NCAA now. The NAIA stands for the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, and it's kind of like the NCAA's smaller cousin. Most NAIA schools are small private colleges, a lot of them Christian, faith-based, or liberal arts schools. Their campuses are tiny, the classes even smaller, but their football energy? Huge. Players here grind just as hard as anyone else. They lift, study film, practice till dark, and still make it to class the next morning. They might not be on ESPN every Saturday, but trust me, the football is still fire. You'll find players who maybe didn't get picked up by big NCAA programs, but are still absolute beasts on the field. Now, let's talk about the NAIA conferences, because just like the NCCA, the NAIA has its own system of leagues, and these conferences are packed with competition. Starting strong with the Mid-South Conference, MSC, this is the big dog of the NAIA world. It's mostly made up of schools from the South like Lindsey Wilson, Bethel, Tennessee, and Cumberland's. These teams are regular playoff contenders, and the level of play is top tier. Then there's the Heart of America Athletic Conference, HAAC. The name sounds calm, but don't be fooled. It's one of the toughest conferences around, based in the Midwest, Missouri, Kansas, and Iowa. This league has heavy hitters like Benedictine, Grandview, and Baker University. These teams are known for playing old school, physical football. It's the kind of conference where no one takes a week off, because if you do, someone's knocking you flat next game. Out west, you've got the Frontier Conference. Picture football in mountain country, cold weather, small crowds, and big hits. Schools like Carroll College, Montana Tech, and College of Idaho call this home. These teams play in snow, wind, and freezing temps, and they don't care. It's football at its purest, tough and relentless. Heading back to the Plains, there's the Great Plains Athletic Conference, GPAC. Think of Nebraska, Iowa, and South Dakota. Cornfields and competition. Teams like Morningside, Northwestern Iowa, and Dordt are always near the top of national rankings. GPAC football is strong, balanced, and filled with tradition. Everyone knows everyone, and rivalries run deep. Then you have the Kansas Collegiate Athletic Conference, KCAC. Yep, mostly Kansas schools. It's one of the biggest conferences in the NAIA, and the schools there are tight-knit, almost like family. Teams like Bethel, Kansas, Avila, and Southwestern College make this conference feel like a weekly backyard brawl. Everyone knows each other, and nobody wants to lose bragging rights. The North Star Athletic Association, NSAA, is smaller but mighty, based up north in the Dakotas. Teams like Dickinson State, Valley City State, and Presentation College play in freezing weather, small towns, and still manage to bring the heat. These guys don't care about fancy stadiums. They care about pride and winning. Down south again, the Sooner Athletic Conference, SAC, brings football to Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Teams like Langston University, Texas Wesleyan, and Wayland Baptist make the SAC one of the most exciting conferences to watch. It's fast-paced, high-scoring, and full of athletic players who play like they've got something to prove, because they do. Another big one is the Mid-States Football Association, MSFA. And this one's kind of like the NAIA's version of the SEC. It's made up of two leagues, the Mideast and Midwest divisions, and includes powerhouse schools like Marion, Indiana, St. Xavier, and St. Francis, Indiana. These teams are national title regulars, known for being well-coached and battle-tested. Finally, there's the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference, WHAC, based mostly in Michigan and Ohio. Not every school here plays football, but the ones that do, like Concordia, MI, and Madonna University, play hard. Level 3, Division 3 football. All right, so Level 3 is where college football feels real and relatable, the kind that fits between late-night study sessions and dorm snacks. This is NCAA Division 3 football, built on balance. No scholarships, no NIL deals, just players who love the game and their school. They juggle classes, part-time jobs, and practice because football is their passion, not their paycheck. At this level, conferences run the show. Each one is like its own league where schools battle every season for pride and a championship. The Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, WIAC, dominates Wisconsin. The Ohio Athletic Conference, OAC, home to Mount Union, is known for powerhouse teams. The Centennial Conference covers the Mid-Atlantic, and up north, the New England Small College Athletic Conference, NESCAC, hosts century-old rivalries like Amherst versus Williams. In the Midwest, the College Conference of Illinois and Wisconsin, CCIW, and Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, MIAC, keep things competitive. You've also got the Middle Atlantic Conferences, MAC, Massachusetts State Collegiate Athletic Conference, MASCAC, and Empire 8 Conference covering the Northeast, while the North Coast Athletic Conference, NCAC, and Old Dominion Athletic Conference, ODAC, keep Ohio and Virginia buzzing. Down south, the Southern Athletic Association, SAA, heats up Saturdays, and out west, the Southern California Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, SCIAC, brings football to the sunshine. Add in the Liberty League, Landmark, NACC, NWC, and MIAA, and you've got a coast-to-coast network of competition. What makes this level special is its heart. Players study all day, practice at night, and play for love, not fame. They fight for conference titles, playoff spots, and the right to reach the Stag Bowl, the D3 championship game. The stands aren't filled with cameras or VIPs. They're packed with classmates, parents, and professors cheering like family. Level 4, Division 2, Football. This is NCAA Division 2, a place where players still dream big but stay grounded. They're not chasing million-dollar deals. They're chasing improvement, teamwork, and maybe a conference title. In Division 2, each conference has its own identity, its own rivalries, and its own heartbeat. Down south, the Gulf South Conference, GSC, brings raw intensity. Schools like Valdosta State and West Florida light it up every season. Over in Texas, the Lone Star Conference, LSC, rules with strong programs and loyal crowds that treat Friday night football like a religion. Up north, the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference, PSAC, keeps old rivalries alive with teams that have been at it for decades. Across the Midwest, the Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, GLIAC, and Great Lakes Valley Conference, GLVC, feature schools surrounded by small towns and loud fans. The Mid-America Intercollegiate Athletics Association, MIAA, in Missouri and Kansas, is known for powerhouse teams that never back down. In the mountains, the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, RMAC, brings altitude and attitude, while the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, SIAC, and Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association, CIAA, highlight the energy of historically black colleges. Full of culture, marching bands, and passion. Scholarships exist, but not for everyone. Some players get partial help, others walk on. The crowds are smaller, but the pride is massive. You won't always find ESPN cameras, but you'll find heart, loyalty, and communities that rally behind their teams. Division 2 football is where ambition meets everyday life. Still fierce, still proud, and still 100% football. Level 5. FCS Powerhouses. We've climbed down from the Division 2 world, and now we're in the NCAA Division 1 Football Championship Subdivision FCS. So what's different here? In Division 1 FCS, the programs do have smaller budgets, fewer scholarships, and less national media attention than the big FBS schools. But they make up for all that with passion, tradition, and community energy. These schools don't just play for bowl games. They battle through a 24-team playoff to crown an actual national champion. Think of them like the knights of the Outer Kingdoms, not in the royal castle, but still wearing armor, still fighting hard, still earning respect. At this level, conferences shape everything. The rivalries, the road trips, and the road to the playoffs. The Missouri Valley Football Conference, MVFC, is the powerhouse of the FCS, home to North Dakota State, a dynasty that's ruled for years. Out west, the Big Sky Conference covers mountain and western states with tough teams and wild weather. The Coastal Athletic Association, CAA, runs up the East Coast, filled with competitive programs that grind every week. The Ivy League may be known for brains, but don't underestimate their brawn. Down south, the Southern Conference, SoCon, and Southwestern Athletic Conference, SWS, bring history and pride, especially the SWS, home to many HBCUs rich in culture and tradition. Other major leagues include the Patriot League, Pioneer Football League, Non-Scholarship, Northeast Conference, NEC, Big South OVC Football Association, and the newer United Athletic Conference, UAC. FCS football feels more personal. Smaller stadiums, tighter crowds, deeper emotion. The players play for love, the fans cheer for pride, and every Saturday feels like a story worth watching. Level 6, the Group of 5. At this level, you've got schools that are still playing in the big league. The National Collegiate Athletic Association, NCAA, Division 1 Football Bowl Subdivision, FBS. So, this is not small-time football. This tier is called the Group of 5, made up of 5 major conferences. American Athletic Conference, AAC, home to teams like Memphis, Tulane, and Navy. Fast-paced, competitive, and always unpredictable. Conference USA, CUSA, a conference fighting to stay relevant and full of teams hungry to rise. Mid-American Conference, MAC, Midwest-based, tough-as-nails programs known for midweek MACtion games that always bring chaos. Mountain West Conference, MWC, covers schools from high-altitude, hard-travel regions out west like Boise State and Fresno State. Sunbelt Conference, a southern powerhouse on the rise, with schools from Louisiana, Georgia, and Texas making noise lately. These teams are part of FBS, so they still play in big stadiums, get national broadcasts, and fight for bowl spots. But compared to the power conferences like the SEC, Big Ten, or ACC, the budgets are smaller, the media deal's thinner, and the climb to the top steeper. In fact, studies show Group of 5 schools generate barely a third of the revenue of Power 5 programs. When a Group of 5 team pulls off an upset against a national powerhouse, the celebrations shake the campus. Players grind hard, fans show up loud, and every win feels personal. Whether it's Boise State shocking Oklahoma or Tulane storming back to beat USC, this level proves one thing: you don't need a royal castle to play like a champion. Level 7, the power conferences. This is where the giants live. The big money, the big crowds, the big pressure. We're talking about the power conferences, the heart and crown of college football. These are the schools that fill massive stadiums, sign jaw-dropping TV deals, and send dozens of players straight to the NFL every year. If college football were a kingdom, this level would be the royal court. The Big Ten Kings, the SEC Knights, the ACC Lords, the Big 12 Rebels, and the once mighty Pac-12 Warriors. Let's break it down. The Big Ten Conference is one of the oldest and strongest. Think Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. These schools don't just play football, they build empires. Then there's the Southeastern Conference, SEC, the powerhouse of the South. Schools like Alabama, Georgia, and LSU live and breathe football. Their fans treat Saturdays like holidays. Over on the East Coast, the Atlantic Coast Conference, ACC, brings in schools like Clemson, Florida State, and Miami. Fast, flashy, and full of energy. The Big 12 Conference may not have as many members as before, but it's still packed with teams that can light up a scoreboard. Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and of course, there's the Pac-12 Conference, once the home of Oregon, USC, and Washington, famous for its West Coast style and wild late-night games. Being in a power conference means you're in the spotlight 24/7. Pressure is insane. Win big or face endless criticism. The stadiums are massive, some holding 80,000 to 100,000 fans. The facilities look like pro training centers. The TV money, we're talking billions. According to ESPN, Power 5 schools generate nearly 3 times more revenue than everyone else. It's not just a football game, it's a weekly event that shuts down entire towns. For the players, it's the ultimate stage. For the fans, it's tradition and pride. And for everyone watching, this is college football at full throttle, loud, electric, and almost larger than life.